All right, so I'm looking at a SaaS company, cloud-based quality management software provider. They're an S corporation, incorporated in '94. There are two owners. They're looking to retire. There are 3 employees, including the 2 owners. There are 2 consultants, and they're looking to divest 100% of their company. A little bit of history. So in '97, they first released as a Microsoft Access database. '99 to 2001, they released a desktop version, released as a standalone VBA, applications and upgrade to share data on customer network servers. 2009 to 2011, they created a .NET version that they released as a browser, access on customer servers, followed by the company's own hosted option to access via internet connection browsers. 2015 to 2017, the software was redesigned and rebuilt using 20 years of learning and was redeployed with the registered trademark to all existing customers. In 2018 to now, they have major updates that are released 3 times a year with new and or improved features. So they have 2 main products. They have a cloud-based quality management software, and they have a bid management tool. The cloud-based quality management software has been rebuilt using Facebook architecture, but the bid management tool itself is still a little bit old and is just an Excel worksheet. So here's their accounts. You can see that they have 5, or no, sorry, this is the revenue. So the revenue mix, 70% comes from SaaS, 30% comes from services. And then here is a detailed revenue split. So 50% is from the SaaS contractors, and then 20% from SaaS government, 20% from the bid management and consulting and licensing, and then 10% from services. Next, a little bit of overview. The market for QMS for service contracting is experiencing significant growth due to the increasing recognition of quality as a crucial aspect of contracting and the customer's demand for access to contractor performance data. Government-focused contractors are also adopting cloud-based QMS to meet stringent requirements for ISO certification and adherence to EM 385 safety regulations. The global market for QMS is valued at $11.9 billion in 2023 and is expected to reach $21.5 billion in 2030. That is at an 8.8% CAGR. So competitors, these are some of their major competitors for the QMS. You can see there's QPulse that does about 6 million in rev a year. Nablon, who is an environmental health and safety software company, does about 1.5 million in rev a year. And then Master Control is QMS. They do 140 in rev a year. So customer concentration. They have 5 main customers who account for 74% of their revenue. It's a lot, but the customers that they have, their 5 main customers, the revenue is spread out across multiple projects. I have not gotten a breakdown or know exactly how many projects each customer has, but I'm going to have a meeting with them to ask those questions. Customer acquisition. Most of their acquisition is from internal growth. They do get some client referrals, and then about 10% of their customer acquisition is through other means, through industry word of mouth, their website, and trade shows. So some value adds. Can invest in a commission sales resources, join industry organizations, increase participation in trade shows, increase participation in membership organizations, enhance their social media presence, and funnel up sales campaigns, and focus on EHS market with lab inspection features. That's something that the company has already kind of getting into. They want to do more of that. And then here's the ask. Company's asking 4.5 within an EBITDA of 685, and they're looking to retire. So now let's go to the one sheet. I'll pull that up for you. So here's the one sheet. 2023 is only through June. They did give me updated financials to the end, but it was incomplete, so I didn't use it. This is a broker deal. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. But I've asked him for a more detailed report, and then he said they're actually not even finished with compiling the report. So there's a lot of stuff pending. So I don't have the end of the year for last year. So this is only up to June. You can let's see their MUD score. I haven't talked to the owners yet. I know that they are interested in sticking around as consultants for a few years. But as far as their motivation, urgency, and distress, I don't know. I don't know how how much they really want to retire and get out of the business. And it's the same with their leaver score. I just don't have that information yet. I'm setting up a seller meeting so that I can talk to them and really get a feel on, really where they're at with selling their business. They have no AR, no in-house assets or anything like that. This is, a SaaS company. They just got a place, and they sell their products. So there's 5 employees. Like I said, there's 3 employees and 2 consultants. One of their consultants is a software engineer, and he now builds all of the software. The owners don't do it anymore. They originally built it, but they are hands off now. The consultant does do projects for other companies. I don't know how that would affect his work, or if you could get him on full time or not, to continue to work and advance the software.
Like we talked about this on our team call a lot. Nobody buys a business, just to keep the EBITDA the same. So what are your growth plans for it, right? It's SaaS, so the multiple is aggressive, relative to other industries. So I'd love to hear kind of what your growth plans and growth strategy are to increase the EBITDA number.
Well, right, that's a good question. They really, I think that the biggest plan here is to go after new customers. I mean, I think that these gentlemen have had the same customers for a long period of time and are really comfortable with what they're doing. And they just have not pursued growing or expanding their business in any other way. So that customer concentration is a huge problem. You gotta go after new customers. And the biggest way I think to do that is to, get on the phones and meet people and get out there and go to more trade shows.
Bobby, can I ask a question real quick? So quality, I've spent 20 years in SaaS, so I have a lot of questions, but my overall question is quality management is a really generic term.
Okay.
Who's the ideal customer profile? Like, is it mid-market, enterprise, small business? That's my first question.
So what they do is it's like a quality assurance for specifically for government contracts and keying in on safety and procedures and keeping a solid record of that for the company.
Is it compliance related?
Yes.
Okay.
I used to do defense contracting, a butt in the seat side, not management. The things I'd be interested in is knowing if they're doing government contracts, what contracts they're attached to, the renewal of those contracts, are they like yearly renewable? And then if they are a prime on the contract, or if they're a sub. Being so small, I would expect them to be a sub, which puts them at risk during a contract renewal because the prime typically dictates everything going on. And I think in any contract business related to government that's government funded like this, it's all about the contracts. My opinion is that, if they have like 5 years out, that's pretty solid. But if it's renewable every year, then there's risk, because then you have to get those contracts renewed and all sorts of stuff like that. So that would be something that I would be asking and finding out the details on.
Aaron, did you still have a question? I see your hand up.
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Kyle. So I'm noticing like the add backs and take backs, are those the salaries of the two owners retiring?
Yeah, almost all of the add backs is owner salary, but they do have some. I saw on one of the P&Ls, they've been adding back in all the years, like R&D and maintenance. So I don't know what that's about or why they're adding that stuff back in. But that it didn't make sense to me that would be an add back.
I would agree with that. It doesn't make sense, especially for maintenance. Like R&D maybe, but maintenance no. You're going to continue. They're going to have continued development needs, programming needs. The other thing is, I wouldn't even agree with adding back the owner's salary entirely, because as I'm looking here, are you planning to GM it, or are you going to hire a GM?
Yeah, I wouldn't GM this.
Yeah.
So right, so it would either be keeping the guy down for a couple of years, like they said they wouldn't mind doing on a consultant basis or something, But seriously, I didn't need to hire someone to run this thing.
Right. If they haven't, the red flags for me would be that they haven't taken steps to grow the business themselves. So I'd be a little bit wary of them staying on, like maybe on a consulting basis to answer questions. But my assumption with this deal would be that you're going to need to bring in an experienced GM, and so you're going to I wouldn't allow the add back to that level. Like once you've established what kind of the going market rate would be for the person you want to hire, I would probably adjust the EBITDA, which also, like you said, this is an aggressive multiple. So I mostly what I would flag about this deal is that they're overpricing it, which, broker deal, but par for the
Good
course.
point.
Yeah.
Good point, Aaron. I agree with that on the ad backs. You got a couple other hands raised, and I want to get to the questions because I want to get everybody their time reveals. Marcel, you have your hand raised. You still have a question?
Just two, or maybe one question and one observation. In terms of SaaS, is that 70%, is all of that then annual recurring revenue?
I don't know, not all of it. I don't think all of it is. Back in one of the slides, it showed licensing agreements. I think it accounted for 20%, which is the reoccurring rev. I would have to look deeper to see how much more would be reoccurring or not.
That's where the value is. So my experience in this domain has been on that. It's sort of almost a 6 to 10 times multiple on that portion. So if you get in less than the asking, more than the asking price, then you get in a good buy. The other point I wanted to make is for this platform, anybody that does 9001, 2015, so ISO accreditation, and you could search for any company in the US and the UK as well, because it is equally applicable. They all need to do risk assessment and method statements on every task that they do, and that needs to be tracked and logged. So there's huge opportunity here. If you need some help or assistance, let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for that question. I also agree as a comment, Marcel. Most of the businesses my venture fund invests in, even though they're in the defense technology, there's some hardware, but all the software businesses are SaaS. We generally see they're high growth companies, but honestly, we see as high of a multiple as 12 times revenue on exit value on some of them, just because the growth rate's so high. I mean, that's not standard across all industries, but they have a high growth rate. Irene, I see you have your hand raised as well. You have a question?
Yeah. So the way for this business, I think the biggest risk is the lack of sales team, especially when your target audience, the target customers are government. That if right now, so far, the major customers are the 5 or 6, then I would bet for sure that is primarily based on relationships, right? And so when a seller are retiring, who's gonna continue maintaining that relationship? Well, after the contract is done, and then I would guarantee they will look for other contract from other vendors. And QMS is not necessarily a new market. It's been around, and this company, if it survived for so long, but it's not have a big or fresh software engineer that continue innovate the version of the features, then the reason that it exists for so long is just relationship. And then for when it says growth marketing, when it comes to government contract business, the first and foremost is sales. You don't necessarily have to have great marketing, because actually you can't even find them on social media. But if you don't have the sales, it's going to be very risky.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I see David Evans had a question. Is 50% of that revenue from one customer?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Toby, you want to go first with your feedback so we get them two angles?
Yeah, so my primary feedback on this, I think you got a lot of really great feedback from people with experience in the industry. You said this is outside your lane. So when you go to that customer meeting, you want to be prepared with a story that explains to those people why you're the best person to buy their business.
Gotcha.
Whether it's the team that you've got behind you or the new innovation, new ideas that you're going to bring into it, because it's going to be hard to build rapport with them being outside your lane unless you have that story ready.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I would say generally speaking, obviously, there's some more information you got to get here, like the balance sheet, some more information on the customers and the relationships. If you have a good growth plan for the business, I think it could be a green light at that price. But it's going to depend on the growth, on the growth plan and what the balance sheet actually looks like, and those contractual relationships with the customers. So overall, I'd probably be a low green light. A really low green light if everything works out. If not, if you can't get the information you need, you can't get comfortable, I would be a red light. This is one of those deals that's kind of like 50-50 for me. It could be a good opportunity, but there's some more digging that needs to be done to get it there to a green light at this point. So thank you for presenting the deal. I love these deals that are kind of right on the edge, because there's so much to learn from them versus a green light 100 deal. They're awesome too, but there's not a whole lot to learn. So thank you, Bobby.